like they much the same way they were terrified of the passion of the Christ, because that completely changed their narrative on Christians. They fed us spoonful of prosperity gospel crap. And it has to be crap. And I'll tell you why. It's not that God doesn't want you to have, nice things or whatnot. That's not what he's against. The thing he's against is when you decide that you want the currency, the current word current means, is that a current of Satan, which is a currency, right? Or the currency of God to come through you, which is a completely different wavelength. The currency, when God says, mammon, you serve mammon, or you serve him. And my career was given to me from him, from above, and his talent is not mine. It was on loan. My life was on loan from him. But I chose to serve him because I love him.
Yeah.
And he loved me, and he gave me a purpose in this life. And I wanted to expose the evil with the weapon that I was given, one from Jesus, to play in the passion and to change this world narrative, much in the same way that Jesus changed the narrative with the Romans. And I believed that spirit that could come through me, that can make me fearless, that could come through me in that performance, that people wouldn't recognize me, that they would only see Jesus. I didn't want them to see me. I wanted them to see Jesus, because truly that's the big deal here, is to convert people to love, to bring them back home. And Tim Ballard, he's this guy that was just crazy nuts to go down. And, this guy, he works for Homeland Security, and he wants to change the face of this trafficking. He wants to take these traffickers down, but he wants to save the kids. And they were not doing that. And so he has an opportunity when he takes down one of the worst traffickers they'd ever seen in Ernst Limpachinski, and they take him down, and he rescues this 5-year-old boy. And the boy says, "Will you save my sister?" And essentially, how the Bible talks about the kingdom of heaven is like a pearl you would sell everything for. And Tim Ballard does this. And so he's 10 days away from his pension. People thought he was nuts, and he takes the money out of his house and goes down to Colombia to find this little girl. First James talks about it. Faith without works is dead. All you talk and no action, it has to be action.
Yeah.
And Tim does this in there, and he's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy like John the Baptist crazy. If they catch him, they're going to take his head off. He's crazy like St. Paul crazy. If they catch him, they'll take his head off like St. Paul. But he has the heart like to live as Christ, to die as gain. And so me, Eduardo Verostegui, very talented guys all got together and was kind of on the same, same different faiths, but all were on the same page of, film is a weapon, and it can draw a light. And like your show can go to people and say, "Hey, on the 4th of July, I'm going to give these little kids back their freedom on our Independence Day."
Yeah. Well, Jim, really quick, you mentioned film is you guys all realized that this film was a weapon. And there's a quote from a director that always stuck with me, because I fundamentally disagreed with it. And I know where your stance is. I know you're going to disagree with it. I'll read the quote, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. The quote is, "If you think you are making any difference as a filmmaker, you have picked the wrong industry." Jim, do you agree or disagree? Why or why not?
I joyfully disagree.
Yeah.
I joyfully disagree, because I'm going to take you to one film.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. That movie, there was a point in my life where I didn't want to live any longer. I was 14 years old, and I was in a bad, bad way. And I cried out to God. And I can imagine that if I had died and I had taken my life, I would have been up there, and God probably would have showed me what I was going to be in this life. And he had me playing his son. Oh, if I had just hung in a little bit longer. It was rough. But I called out, I screamed out, "God, please help me. And what's my purpose in this life?" And he did. He came to me. And in It's a Wonderful Life, when Jimmy Stewart, flew 26 missions over Germany in the Liberator. And, the guys that I spoke to that were on those aircrafts, they have to go in quiet to listen to the commandeer the mission. And Jimmy Stewart was the head commandeer in those missions. And he could hear those men go down, getting shot out of the sky from the flak. The Nazis were shooting up.
Man.
You can hear them screaming to their deaths. And he would have had horrible nightmares. And I can imagine that in It's a Wonderful Life, where he has the scene, and it's so profound. I had never seen an actor, especially in his generation, do this. Here's a leading man, hero, leading man, built differently, skinny guy, tall, 6'3" guy. And he had such power. And Capra goes into this shot when he's at the bar scene, and he says, God, if you're out there, please help me. And I just was like, every Christmas I see that, and I always weep when I watch it, because I thought, that's me. And here's this guy, he's going to commit suicide. He's going to commit suicide, and this angel comes to him. Much of the same way that Angel Productions comes to us. We're going to bust our butt for you.
Yep.
And take us out of this hell that we were in. And all of a sudden, this thing starts to turn. And we start to go, man, we got a chance. And Eduardo had to do it for us when we were out $5 million. The movie was closing down. The devil didn't want you to see it, but we never gave up. We kept fighting back, much of the same way that Tim does, because he knew that if he quit, these little kids, like Jimmy Stewart and It's a Wonderful Life, they are never going to make it. And that angel showed him, look, Mr. Stewart, you lived, George Bailey, you lived an incredible life without you. These people don't make it without you, man. And so that's why this film has an extraordinary power behind it. And Americans need it right now to inspire them.